everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Rats. Today we're going to finish putting our 45 two-end loader tractor back together and get it all dressed up and decked out. Actually, if you look closely behind me, you can see I've already done that. But I forgot to shoot an intro, so I'm shooting it now. But that's what we're going to be doing. Let's get started. I put the sway bar on. Now these things will drag on the ground when you don't have an implement. So what I usually do on most of my tractors, I make a little pin that you keep in your little toolbox, you know, and that holds that up when you haven't got an implement on. Just like that. Right now I've only got one sway bar for this one. I do have brackets on both sides. If I come across another one, we'll grab another one. But one is usually sufficient. Now I got to swipe some parts off this old Ferguson. The poor old thing. It's slowly going to disappear. We need the seat and both of these light brackets. Although we'll have to do our best to straighten them out. We got our seat on. Somehow I think it's mounted all the way forward in the bracket. There's 4 possible positions. Oh no, it's in the second one back. We'll see how it is there. We can undo it and move it back if we want. And while we were at it, on the seat studs, I made this little bracket and we mounted a holder for the slow-moving vehicle sign. Now I'm going to mount the fenders on, and like we do with them all, we're just going to grind around the bolt holes, get that nice and clean on the bracket and on the bottom of the fender. So when we put our lights on, we get a good ground. Now we got some fenders on her. These aren't the greatest fenders, but they're better than what was on it. The ones that were on it were just wasted. This one's kind of punky. This one's not bad. But yeah, way better than what we had. So now what I got to do is I got to get out 1, 2, 3 bolts on either side. Get out this extra stuff that I don't know what it's for. And we can start getting our light brackets straightened out. We'll get the lights mounted on them and everything. Then we can mount them to the tractor. We'll see how that goes. Oh, and then we'll have to do our final wiring. Well, I got one straightened out. So the one on this side is going to have the a lollipop, hazard light, whatever you want to call it, sticking out the top of it. And the tail light will be on the side of it. Now we're getting there. Now what I got to do is... this needs to be an orange lens on this side, so I've got a spare orange lens in my box. We'll swap that out. We'll do the same thing on the other side. That looks pretty good. Now I got to build up the one for the other side after we straighten it, of course. It's really banged up, this one. But that's okay. We can handle it. And we'll put a turn signal on the top and see if we can find some kind of a plow light for it. Okay, there we are. That one's all straightened out. Now we can get our lights mounted on it. I'll have to figure out what we're doing for a work light. I haven't got anything here. I'll have to scrounge around and see what I got. Now I'm looking for a work light for this thing. And you know me, always trying to use what I've got, right? So I found this carcass of a light. I haven't got a match to it. It's a single, so that's a perfect candidate to make a work light out of. The stud was missing, so we just got an old carriage bolt and made a stud for it. And then a little piece of pipe, we made a standoff. So I think we can put this thing together. There, we got it. And I've got a switch in here that's got 2 ons. So off, on. It's a single pole, double throw. And what we're going to do is I've got these little guys here. These guys. We're going to mount down here to be kind of like a rear-facing headlight. I've got all these lights. I got so many lights. I got to use them up. So that's what we're going to do with those. These lights come with these great big isolation mounts, which we're not going to use. So what happens then is that we end up with the stud way too long. So what we're going to do is take these apart. Plus, The one on this side, the screws holding the straps are oriented the wrong way. So if I ever had to replace the bulb, I'd have to take the light off the tractor to replace it. And while we've got these things opened up, the wiring coming back here isn't really heavy enough, I don't think, to run these two H3 bulbs. So I ordered a pair of LED H3 replacements. They should be here soon. So starting over here, we've got this one bolted to the fender. You can see how these things work. They give you a knockout in the fender to run the wire through. And then this here, this little rib on the light bracket, that's where the wire comes up. So we've got it run down. You can see here with trailer wire clips. You can get these at any auto parts place, Amazon, anywhere, a trailer place. They're handy, man. So we got our wire held on with those. Now what we have to do at the back of this light, we've got to make a connection. And then we'll keep going across. And here's where we're going to connect the lights from both fenders. So I'm going to get working on that, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so we got this, as far as I know, all together. Our LED bulbs showed up, so we got those little lights put together. So, oh well, let's see if anything works. So I'm at one click. You can see here we've got a tail light. I put an LED bulb in there. Now, the switch on our work light, it should go one way to get the work light, and then the other way to get those. So let's see here. Okay, so there's the work light. And the other way, I should get those guys. All right. It actually works. Good. Now we got to pull the second position and see if the indicators work. Let's see here. Well, one comes on and the other doesn't. All right. We'll have a look at that. Okay, I found for whatever reason this fender was not getting a good ground to the chassis or the axle housing, whatever. So I loosened the bolts and jiggled everything around, and it seems to be okay now. So let's check it out. Let's try again. All right, our flashes are flashing. Tail light is on. Okay, let's see. We should get the work light. Yep. And then the rear headlights, or whatever you want to call them. That's good. Okay, so that's our rear lighting done. Now I went to slide the seat back on the spring because they had it way too far forward. And when I finally got it apart after fighting, it had a 5/8 carriage bolt through it. And I thought that was kind of strange because I didn't think they normally had a 5/8 carriage bolt. Well, yeah, look, see? Oopsie. Now there is a repair kit you can buy for this. But we're just going to scrounge around and make our own repair kit. You can see here where they've torched out those two holes to 5/8. We're going to go back to a 1/2-inch bolt and go to this hole here. So we should be okay. I got to find a big washer that'll fit on top of there and a 1/2-inch carriage bolt. There we go. Good like new. I'm going to climb up there now and see how it feels. We'll leave it here for now, but I get the funny feeling I may be moving it back to the rear hole on the spring here. But we'll see for now. Now, because of the way this Jungle Gym loader makes this thing such a bear to get on and off, I got this pair of grab handles at the swap meet the other last week. We're going to bolt them on the fender. So the first thing we got to do, they're designed to go on something flat, right? So you can see they don't really fit the curve of the fender very well. So I've already taken this one over to the press and just tweaked the ends of it so it fits a lot better. We'll get the other one tweaked and then I'll figure out, I think right about there, where I want them, and we'll get them drilled and bolted on. That's good. I like them. I made a little bracket on one of my pipe clamps here, and we put this little motorcycle mirror on it. I don't know, I just like having a mirror on my tractors. Now this one's got a mirror. Here's the headlights we're going to use. And I found the best place to put them. I'm going to just drill a hole in this bracket and put them right up there. So they're nice high, up out of harm's way. And they'll light. If I've got the bucket lifted up a little bit, they'll still shine over top of that. I think that's the best place to put them. All right, we got headlights. Pretty cool, eh? And they don't look too bad on there. Oh, I got to snip them tie wraps off. I got the air cleaner bolted back on, and now we're going to play that favorite game of ours, What's in the Cup? Well, that's pretty disappointing. There's hardly anything in there. Oh well, it'll be easy to clean up. We'll fill it up with clean oil and put her back on. Well, that's a first. No leaks. Okay, full of clean motor oil. Up she goes. So the air cleaner is back off. I just realized when I went to put the cup on that the packing is gone from it. I must have stolen it for another one. I've got a new set of packings downstairs. I just have to see if I've got one of these retainers somewhere. That might be a problem. I actually found in my supply of tractor parts, I had 2 of these new. So what you got to do is find out which way it's wound. And we found the end of it here. So this thing is wound this way, or if you flip it over that way, it's wound that way, right? I'm probably going to go it that way so I can turn it clockwise to get it in. What we got to do is you just kind of give this, stretch that a little bit and start it over there. And then just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. And you'll get it worked down in there. Once you get it over this pipe, it's not too bad. You can actually just like literally shove it right down in. There. Everybody should have a wooden spoon in their garage, just for such a job. There. There's actually a stopper in there, I think. Yeah. There's a stopper. So we've hit the stopper. Now there's 2 of these that go in there, so we're going to put the second one in. And then I'll tell you something I found out. Make sure we got it going the right way. That way. You can buy these at any of the places that sell tractor restoration parts. There's the part number. That's a Spare X number, I think. And same thing, we'll just, this one's a little more spread out, but that's okay. You just work slowly and patiently and you'll get it in. There we go. Okay, now what I found out on the 9N and 2N, and I think even the Ferguson air cleaners I've messed with, you see these 3 little grooves here? There's a little retainer that pops in and holds these things. But I just took apart 2 8N air cleaners and looked in a third, and none of them have it. They just rely on the friction of the thing stuck in there to hold it. So we're going to go with that and see what happens. If we find it falls down into the oil, no problem. We'll keep our eyes out for one of these retainers. The one in our old air cleaner was just totally gone. Like it literally no longer existed. So that is no help to us. So anyway, we'll get this thing back on the tractor and get the cup on it. There we go. That ought to solve our problem. I know on the 8N one, it's just shoved in there and it seems to stay there, but it was bothering me thinking about it, that there's supposed to be something there holding it and there's not. So, well, now there's something there holding it. Now I can put the air intake pipe on and look, another surprise. Now, I'm hoping, I was just kind of test fitting it on there, and the hose should go to about there. So I think we'll be okay. The hose should cover the hole. If it doesn't, well, then we'll have to either weld a new piece of pipe onto there, onto the end, or we'll have to get another complete pipe. Come on, focus down there. There we go. So, yep, no problem. The hose easily covered the hole in the pipe, so we're good there. We got the top of it attached. Now we have to start working on the cap. Now, originally, this thing would have had just like a little mesh screen around here with a lid. There was be a stud in here and a wing nut on top, and that was your filter screen, and the actual filtering happened in there. As an accessory, they used to sell these things. Now, we've got the remains of two of them. So here is the one that was on this tractor when we got it, and you can see here how they've modified the bottom of it to fit into down in there. There's a little bit of a funnel. They cut this off and modified that to jam into the funnel. The problem is that would let rain run down this pipe and get into the air cleaner. That's why the air cleaner, the pipe, and the carburetor were completely rotted out. So we have to do something about that. We can't leave that like that, or the same thing will happen again. Now here's the remains of another one that somebody has cut off. See, how this thing is supposed to work, the pipe, right, is part of this cap, and you kind of put it on, like that, drop the hood over it, and then your little breather cap goes on the top from the outside. You can see that there, right? So I think what we're going to have to do is try and get this breather pipe out of here and then cut this one down a little shorter. You can see the original hood line. That's how much was sticking out over the hood. Like, you know, like so. So we'll try to get it down in so we can replicate that. But first we got to try and get this cap off of the pipe. That was easy enough. Now I got to try and get this out of here, and then we'll get this into here. Here's my solution to the problem. I cut this thing off nice and straight with a pipe cutter. It's 1 3/4 outside diameter. So I found a piece of 1 3/4 exhaust pipe that's expanded on one end, right? So that'll just fit over there, and our cap goes on top of it perfectly. So all I got to do now is I got to get this mounted on the air cleaner. Then we'll do a little bit of measuring and figure how long we need to cut this thing to, and we'll get that all installed. So it turns out to use this, we got to cut off this, which is fine. We'll just get the zip wheel tool and cut that off. All right, and there's how that all goes together. Of course, once I've got the hood on, this, even the expanded part of the pipe, I checked, still fits through the hole in the hood. So we could put the hood on and then feed this through and get our length set. I know, I could leave it up that high too if it doesn't bother me, right? But you can see now how it works. Water can't get in it. It comes on here and it sheds it, right? It comes down to here, it sheds it. That's how that should be. Not like how they had it, which filled the whole intake tract with water. Anyway, on to the next job. Now we're going to see about making a set of steps for this thing. I got these that we bought at the swap meet the other week, so I found some rear brackets. We're going to get those hung on and then see about sitting these on and see what they look like. We might have to shorten them up a bit or something. There's only one way to find out. That's all right. There's the first one cut down. So we cut 8 inches off the back end of it, and I had to cut the back flange off of it. I just, nothing too scientific. I clamp it down to my picnic table and cut it with a Sawzall and finish it up with a flap disc on an angle grinder. It works okay. So now what we've got to do is get the other one cut down, and then we can start making our brackets, because we need one bracket attached to it that comes up to this stud here, and another one that comes up and hangs it off this foot peg. That's looking pretty good, I think. So we've got it so far. It's bolted to the back bracket, complete. We've made our hanger that hangs off this stud here, and I was cheeky. I cut a slot and bolted it underneath the bottom. If you can see that. Now what I got to do is I have to cut another slot, and we're going to put in this hanger that hangs it off the foot peg. And then that should do it. Well, there's this side done. I use the drill. I drill a whole bunch of holes in a straight line and then, you know, kind of connect them, right? So that's pretty good. And then once we get back in there, we'll drill for 2 bolt holes, and we'll bolt that in. Well, I gotta say, they came out pretty nice. I'm happy with that. That's neat. I gotta look for more of those kind of running boards at the swap meets. I found a matching pair of rusty stay bars in the barn, so I made another pin for this side, a transport pin or whatever you want to call it, and so we've got a pair of sway bars. Also, I found an old school, like the original style top link, so it kind of fits the part, so we put that on there. And we got a snazzy new toolbox on there. It didn't come with one, so we bought it. It's a cheap one, but it's a toolbox. You can put your junk inside it. It's a handy thing to have on them. A lot of times you'll see the farmers would take them off there and move them onto the fender here, especially on the 8 ends like that, because on the 8 end, the toolbox is actually under the hood. You'd have to open the gas door to get at your toolbox. It's right here behind the dash. And those were very popular to put back here on the fender. But ours, we're going to leave it right where it's supposed to be. I think now I'm going to get the wheels back on it. So to do what we need to flip the wheels so that the narrow side is in, which means they have to switch from side to side. So now we've got to try and get this one apart, and this I kind of think is the one that's maybe never been apart, but we'll find out. So here you can see what happens to the old hat wheels. They just rot away to nothing. Not much you can do about it. It is what it is. I mean, the thing's 80 years old, and it's been sitting outside for all of them 80 years. Not much you could do about it. So we'll be on the prowl for a set of wheels for this thing. Like I said earlier, I think I mentioned, if it turns out that this thing ends up sticking around, we definitely want to do something about the rubber on it. These tires are toast, and the wheels are toast too, apparently. So, or at least this wheel is toast. But anyway, they'll do for now. We'll get this thing put back on. I'll spray it all full of oil, penetrant or something to maybe keep this rust at bay for a little while. Like, it's good on that side. And I really worked these bolts over pretty good with the air chisel, so we'll have to run the thread chaser over them before we reuse them, but that's okay. At least they came out. Man, they're ugly, but they go along with the rest of it, I guess. So I'll go around now and double check the pressures. I guess I'll run these ones around 12, 14 in there, and 25 to 30 in the front ones. We'll see how they look when we start blowing them up. I realized when I went to check the front tires here that when I put the wheels on this, when it was over at my neighbor's house, I didn't have too many lug nuts. There was only a couple on each front wheel. So I found some new ones. They're not the correct 9N lug nuts, but they hold the wheels on, so I guess that's the main thing, eh? Now I gotta do something about the hood. This hood is a mess. I'm gonna try and do something different with the mounting, because trying to get this hood out of there all in one piece with that loader on there is evil. So we're gonna try and do something where the dog legs stay and the hood comes off separate. I'm gonna work on that. Well, here's what I came up with. I've got the hood sides kind of bolted on, just snug but not tight, so they'll still move around a bit. And I put a J-nut, and I made some little 5/16 pins that screw into the J-nut to locate the hood. We're gonna stick, I think, with our original hood because it's a little rotten, and I don't feel guilty about performing any surgeries on it. So we're going to see if that'll work. And then once I know that the hood drops down over this, I'm going to get some Jeep hood latches or something to hold the hood down onto the hood sides. That's what we're going to try anyway. But first we have to fix this door because the hinge is completely rotted away. And we have to find a gas tank for this thing. So I found all that was really wrong with our battery door here was that the hinge was broken where the rivet is. So I just welded it back together. It should be fine now. We found a decent fuel tank for it, so I'm going to get that installed. And then I guess we could go about trying to put this hood back on and see what happens. Oh, so far so good. I got to stand it up now and see if my repaired door works. Let's see here. Yeah, perfect. What do you know? That's great. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can manhandle this thing up into there. It's got moss growing on it. We're going to go all the way here and put this foam thing over the rad neck. Not entirely sure what it does, but two ends all had it, so we'll put that there. It'll look good. Well, that went pretty well. I got the hood back on. On that side, it's just sitting on the pin, and it's good. On this side, for some reason, it wanted to bend in, so I had to pull it back. I couldn't get the pin to engage, so I put a nut and a bolt on this side. But it's actually easy to get at if we ever have to take it apart. We got a shiny new red gas cap. And then the air intake pipe, I left it full height because this thing here, it has to be, see, at least that high so the door doesn't hit it when you open it. So technically it should be cut off about there, but this bar for the loader is in the way. So up there is where she's going to stay for now. Now, we need us a steering wheel. When we took it apart, it had some kind of old car steering wheel kind of wobbling around on there. I don't like that. I want to put the proper steering wheel on it. So here's what we're going to do. This is our 39 9N, and it's got a newer steering wheel. It's got a 2N steering wheel on it. But remember the other week at the swap meet, we found this Model A steering wheel, which is very similar to what these first 9Ns had on them. So we're going to pop that one off for our 2N. And we'll use this one on this guy. There we go. A proper 2N steering wheel, suitably rusted to match the rest of it. And a nice red spinner knob that matches our nice red toolbox. Now we got a new fuel bulb and fuel line to put in. This thing comes, we've been over this before, it's got two ports. Right now the plug is in the Ferguson port. If you're working on a Ferguson, you leave this one open and plug that one. We need it in Ford mode, so we're going to move the plug over to that one, and our line will come out of this one. There we go. I finally got the ignition coil sorted out. What a debacle that was. I keep trying to take these nuts off to move the bracket around. Of course, every time I take it out, the stud comes out and all the coolant comes out. So finally, I just had enough. And I drained the coolant. I figured out the coil, and we just put the coolant back in it. And at the auction, I managed to find a patinaed slow-moving vehicle sign that looks a little more the part on the back of this thing than this brand new one that we had. I like that much better. Well, I guess now we'll get some fuel in this thing and see if it'll crank up. And I guess then we can move on to our adjustments video because we got a lot of adjustments to do. Well, I dumped a couple of gallons of gas in it. Let's see what happens. Here it comes. All right. We'll give it a second to fill up the carburetor. While that's filling up, we'll turn the power on. And then I'll climb up here and see if it'll crank up. Oh, let's see what happens. Climbing up and down this thing is an adventure. Well, we'll get the hang of it. Well, there's a sign in the way now. Okay. Ignition on. Neutral. There she is. Beautiful. Good. There's clutches like that. Pop. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Looks like a success. Let me get off of here now without breaking my neck. That's going to take some practicing. So that'll do it for this one. She's all put back together and dressed out with accessories and whatnot. It looks good. It starts up. It runs nice. I'm going to stop it here. In the next one, we're going to go from back to front, get all our adjustments done, get it greased up and outside and see if it'll do some work. Anyway, until then, I'd like to thank you as always for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. Hope you'll come back and see us again. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long for now.